Williamsville Sports Weekly is brought to you by your local country financial representative, Ed Legner. Please contact Ed for all your insurance and financial planning needs. His office is located at 318 Crossing Drive in Sherman, and he can be reached at 217-496-2341. But for now, enjoy the show. Welcome to Williamsville Sports Weekly, an in-depth look at both BB and Bullet athletics, hosted by our athletic director Adam Euchre and former Lady Bullets basketball coach John Hampton.
Welcome to episode 116 of Williamsville Sports Weekly, presented by Ed Legner, Country Insurance Financial Representative for Sherman, Illinois. You can visit Ed for all your insurance and financial needs. John, it's been a while. First episode of the school year, sitting here end of October, into the fall sports season. Things have kind of been hectic, and kind of been waiting for a relevant topic to kind of kick off the school year, and we have one this week as we'll talk about the county-wide facility tax. It's going to be on the ballot here coming up in November, but it's been a quick school year up to this point. It's hard to believe that we're already at the end of the regular season for all of our fall sports at this point.
Yeah, there's been, as usual, a lot of activities going on. The kids are doing really good in the classroom, like, at least I know in my part of the world here in the building. And homecoming was a success, and now we're kind of settling into some fall weather, and which means we've got football playoffs, you got the postseason for volleyball, cross country. So yeah, it's gone really quick, and knock on wood, but relatively smooth. So I think that's why it's gone pretty quickly. I know, again, like up here in the academic area, I'm sure down that administrative area, you guys have been having a lot of stuff going on too.
You get a new crew every year in terms of the kids you do with Bullets TV,
yeah.
and you got kind of a young crew this year. Talk to us a little bit about them, because you said this is one of the best crews you've had, and kind of going to have them for a while, that you can kind of train and build them and mold them for the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, we've got a really good crew, and I think I think we'll probably be sitting here in a few years saying this is one of the best crews, because what happens is with every year, we learn a little bit more on our side, and we're able to pass that along to the kids, and the kids just take it and run with it, sort of like you do with basically the public relations that you do with Mr. Cassin's class. If you look back a couple of years, how much further you guys are now, because the kids they know so much more, and they've run with it, and there's so much more out there to access. And we've got a freshman named Jack Stott who's really good with the technology, of the whole process. He actually runs his own internet radio station from his house here in Williamsville, so he's done a lot of camera work for us. He was the voice of the volleyball games, and J.D. Waldron's a sophomore that's helping with statistics on the football, and we've got Brian Barrett, who's a senior, just a great job with the play-by-play on the football games. We'll do a really good job with the basketball. Does the PA for the volleyball. And Alex Henrikson's doing a lot of announcing for our football team. He'll do the camera at the basketball games. He's a senior. So we've got some senior leadership there, guys that have done it before. And then our producer on the computer is Sebastian Saray. This is his third year doing it. We jokingly would call him, Sebastian the intern, and when he's a freshman, he liked that. And now he's not an intern anymore. Now he's a junior, and we don't have to worry about anything with producing. He's all over it at the football games, and he'll do the basketball this year. So we got a really good mix of a couple freshmen, sophomores. They're just starting to come in, and we've got a couple seniors that know the role. And Mike Brennan does a great job setting up the broadcast. We haven't had a problem yet this year with the broadcast on our end. If there was a problem this year, it was actually from down in Atlanta, where they had some issues. I think was the first football game or so, but it's run really smooth, and we're looking forward to football playoffs this Saturday at 2:30. We'll be broadcasting the DuQuoin game, and hopefully a lot more home football games as we go. And then basketball starts up on November 29th with the girls, and there's a lot of early season Sangamon games for the boys and the girls in December. So we'll be active, especially here in the first semester with the basketball too.
And that kind of makes your job easier as the advisor for that, where when you have a veteran crew like that and kids that take a lot of pride in it, you can kind of just sit back and really monitor and jump in when needed if there's an issue.
Oh, yeah, because what's nice now is we're just kind of monitoring the quality of the broadcast, so we can kind of jump in and say, hey, maybe we can go this way, go this direction, or, say this, maybe not go there with that. Whereas before, we were really concerned about just getting the broadcast on and make sure it looked good and things like that. But these kids are good enough now to where, heck, we've got our own. Alex brings his own little laptop up there with all the notes that they're going to read off during the game. Something we hadn't thought of doing before. JD's taking stats on his phone, which gets sent. The app gets sent to the computer, and that's the stats are coming up on the computer. Gosh, we would have never thought of that 2-3 years ago. So, yeah, they've taken it to a new level. I wouldn't have thought of doing that either. JD just came in and said, can I just do this on my phone? I'm thinking, how are you going to do that on your phone? Picks up an app, and boom, it sends us the stats in live time. So, yeah, the broadcasts are getting better, and the kids are the ones evolving the broadcast, and it's a lot of fun to see.
You talk about Brian Barrett. He's been the voice of the Lady Bullets for the regular season, doing our PA, going to be doing girls basketball too. And it's things like this where we're giving these kids opportunities where we've talked about where then maybe they can go on to the next step, whether it's in college or professional, where they can pursue this, and we've given this opportunity to really enhance their skills and their presentation with it before they even get there.
Yeah, I know Brian has mentioned that he's going to Eastern, and he might like to see if he can help out and maybe do some PA up there, kind of maybe go into communications. So it'd be really neat to see like one of our alums, from our Bullets TV group, go into that. And a big thing is just getting over that fear of speaking publicly. We've all had that, our first speech class and things like that. It's just a fear of once they get over that. And I know Jack Stott's so much better now with the volleyball than he was at the start because he was just scared to make a mistake. And once they get over that, boy, they just take it and run with it.
And with this countywide facility sales tax that's going to be on the ballot coming up here in November, if that were to pass, we can continue to enhance these type of programs that we have based on how the funding would go in the different pots then.
Yeah, once you start getting funding, it's kind of like these kids with technology. Once you give them the technology, they run with it. We give these kids some better infrastructures, stuff to use technology-wise. You'll see these programs just continue to blossom like crazy. The only thing holding them back is just resources. I mean, it's not their want to or their intelligence. I mean, it's just the only thing that's holding them back is, like I said, the resources, and they're doing a pretty good job with what they have right now.
Coming back to the fall sports side, another successful fall season, as we talked about, still going on right now. Girls golf making their first state appearance since the 2009 season. Mike Brennan took them down there. Only played on Friday, though, with a new rule, IHSA putting a cut line in. So those girls went down there, didn't make the cut. Faith Davis did end up making the cut as an individual, but just another step as we build that golf program with having gone down there for the first time, as we said, since 2009.
Yeah, no doubt. And, a lot of these programs here have a lot of tradition. Had to start somewhere, and here – I know Mike, Faith, and
Angela.
I have Erica in class. I was trying to remember. Angela in class. Angela Egger had two really good golfers, but you can see as throughout the season, the 3, 4, 5, and 6 golfers kept getting better and better and better, and then we got to the point where they augmented a really good team. They ended up getting to state, and you got to give the girls a lot of credit, Mike a lot of credit with It's an individual sport, but yet when you put them into a team situation, some teams gel, some golfers don't like that team aspect. They did a really good job this year with wanting to be a team and doing a really good and getting actually to state. Like you said, hadn't done that in 9 years. That's a big accomplishment.
And like I said, really a different state tournament than in the past with the IHSA putting that cut line in. The only other sport that does that for individuals is track. Wrestling does it too with their bracketed system, so a little bit different. And I know there was some talk amongst the coaches, which that's out of their control, but the girls still did go down and have a good performance, especially based on the weather conditions they had.
Yeah, though the weather conditions it was like mid-November out there. Was that day, if you're listening, that it started snowing here. Yeah. So that's what they were dealing with, and they were all dealing with it, but it really been nice to see all the teams that didn't make the cut line come back and have a second day to prove themselves. Even in pro golf, they give them 2 days in a 4-day tournament to balance the scores out. So maybe that'll change, but it was a great accomplishment for the girls.
It'll be interesting moving forward to see if that stays in place, as there'll be obviously some talks on the IHSA side, or if it'll go back to the old system. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Cross country, they ended their postseason this last week. Girls won the conference title for the second straight year. Ended up losing to their conference rival Pleasant Plains, getting second place, still advancing to the sectionals this weekend up at Elmwood Brimfield. Boys got third, top 7 make it out of regionals, and then when we get to sectionals, they narrow that field down a little bit. But really, it's them and Plains battling. And once again, you're kind of running against the course and running against yourself and running against your times. And that's the neat thing about golf, and even with our sports like track and cross country. You're trying to be better than what you were the day before. You're not really running against someone else. You're running against yourself.
Yeah, and I've always said that I wish they would shorten the cross country season to where they could run in better weather. I don't know about you, but you think 2 weeks from now, it's going to be cold. We know it's going to be cold. It'd be nice maybe a week or two earlier. What are your thoughts on that? I've always said that. I don't know why it's so long.
I mean, kind of like the same thing where they've talked even, with starting baseball and softball later, where so then you don't have as many games. So, I mean, it would probably give some different results, kind of like with track, with how, we're having the best weather at the end of the season.
Exactly. And even with golf, if they shorten the season a week, you still have the odds are getting better. And it's not like they need, I always think with the cross country, those kids are running all summer.
Yep.
In spring. And, it's not like they need a long season to get in shape with that. But that was just on my mind. I always think of that with cross country because it's always about 40 degrees and they're running, everybody's got their hats on when they're running. They don't run like that most of the season.
No.
So, but anyway, I mean, Coach Caston's he's got a juggernaut built up now on the girls' side, and now the boys are starting to flourish. Our junior high cross country teams did really good.
They both went to state this year, so.
Yep. So there's a lot of talent coming, and they just enjoy running in the program. I hear kids talk all the time how much they love it. Even the kids that don't end up making the state team, the team that goes to state, they're excited for the next season. They just enjoy doing it. He's built a really good family atmosphere and good culture in the program.
Which that's hard to do, make people excited to run. I know.
Absolutely.
I hate running, so I only do it when I have to for the Army. So
yeah,
more power to those guys to be excited about that.
He's doing something right to get them to want to do that.
Volleyball starts their postseason tomorrow night, and when you look at their record, we're coming at 13-22, and you're thinking, gosh, 13-22, you shouldn't have one of the top 4 seeds. They ended up getting the 3 seed. Porta got the 2 seed over at the Athens Regional, playing the host Warriors, who we already beat this year, already beat Porta as well, and then most likely play the winner of Porter Riverton if we come out of that semi against Athens tomorrow night. But that once again speaks volumes about who we play and how well we play against that upper level competition. When you have a record like that and you still get a top 4 seed, that shows how much people respect our program and who we go out and play.
Yeah, and this is one of the teams where we don't have that that true all-stater, but heck, we had a bunch of home Sangamon games this year, so I got to see a lot of the home volleyball games, and you can see the kids just progressing, throughout the season. Like I was telling Sydney Craig the other day that I've never seen her hit the ball so well in 4 years, and she's like, well, thanks a lot. She said, actually, Coach Carlson just told me that too. Like you could just see these guys improving throughout the seasons. And again, it's one of those things we always say this it seems like we say this a lot with volleyball and girls basketball is we're one of the teams you don't want to play in the regional because of the schedule that they play. They're usually peaking at the right time. Mm-hmm. And this is very much a winnable regional for our girls. And
the one thing to really watch if you go over tonight and I don't know if Athens is going to broadcast it or not, but watch our middles and watch our ability to block and watch how it causes the other team to have to adjust their shots, because that's one thing that I know Coach Carlson has really worked on is being able to block and make the other teams adjust to their hits, which is difficult to do in volleyball.
Oh, no doubt. I think we do that better than some of the teams, some of the really, really good teams we've had in the past. I think that our middle defense is just tremendous at the net. I mean, from game one, we just really good at blocking up there. You got Sydney and Kayla and Sorter. I mean, they do a great job up there. And really, as long as if we get our back on with our passing, when our passing is on, we're a dangerous team.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's tomorrow night over at Athens, 6:30 start, and if they win, they would advance to the regional final at 7 o'clock on Thursday night over at Athens as well. Wrapping up here at the Fall Sports, football pairings came out on Saturday. Ended up going south this year. A little bit different of a southern bracket than what we're normally used to. Monticello's down in the south this year. Carlinville, who we've seen in the past. And we're playing a team from really down south, DeCoin, about 30 miles north of Carbondale, 6-3 team. We ended up getting a 6 seed at 8-1. Game will be 2:30 on Saturday here at Paul Jenkins Field. But DeCoin, they have a rich tradition with football. Yep. Been a 2A team the past few years. I think they lost to Moreau in the semis. I don't know if it was 2 or 3 years ago. But they have a pretty good running back, some pretty good skill people, so it'll be a good test for us. But that game 2:30, if you can't make it, obviously we talked about on WHS Bullets TV, but this is the 10th straight year, 14 out of the last 16 years for playoffs. And once again, the schedule that we play in the regular season with the Sangamon Conference, 4 schools making it: Athens, Maroa, Pleasant Plains, and ourselves. Last year Pleasant Plains making the state title game, Maroa making the state title game, Athens in the semis, us in the quarters. One of the best, if not the best, small school conference in the state in terms of football gets these teams ready for these postseason runs.
Yeah, and that's what you see, year in, year out. I think even 2 years ago, Auburn made it to the state finals. Didn't win the conference. It's interesting to see how Pleasant Plains made it to the state finals last year. We're probably 6-3, maybe.
They were 6-3, beat
in our conference.
Number one seed in the South, Trenton Westland last year, and then really rolled through the rest of the way.
So and gosh, we've got coach has got such a good program built now. You're talking about 10 straight years in the playoffs, 14 out of 16. You just hope that even this first round game that people come out and support, not just kind of waiting for the bigger games, because sometimes you build such a monster that people kind of look past the accomplishment of getting to the playoffs and doing what they did at 8-1. And I know the kids appreciate it. And as you look down the bracket, you see a lot of familiar schools that we've played before, and it'll be interesting to see how it all works out. Some of your top teams are Fairfield, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
They're 9-0. That if we were to win, might end up playing that type of team.
And regardless of who wins next week, we would be on the road, either at Fairfield or Newton, and then from there it kind of depends on who wins after that. But definitely a home game this week.
Yeah. So. I'd like to see a lot of people come out. Boy, we've had poor weather for all of our homes. It seems like it was raining every Friday. Every time we had
to move,
chance of rain.
Or we had to move a game.
Yeah, had to move it. So hopefully we'll get a good fall day on Saturday. Everybody can come out and support the kids. And congrats to those guys. They probably don't get congratulated enough for making the playoffs because they're so used to them doing things like that. And this team's got a chance to do something special, and hopefully we'll get to see it.
Coming up in our next segment, talking with Superintendent Tip Reedy in regards to the countywide facility sales tax is going to be on the ballot coming up here in the November election. Really hoping that people get out and vote and that they're educated voters. A little bit different than what a referendum is. This wouldn't just be Williamsville, Sherman people that would be seeing this increase of a tax. This would be countywide, and it would be able to go to our facility fund, which we could increase and revamp some of our facilities around here, which they need it. So obviously, some important information coming up in this next segment.
Yeah, and the thing to remember is, it's not just Sangamon County people that'll be paying this tax. It'll be, we have a big tourism industry in Springfield, and it'd be a lot of, anytime we go anywhere, we're paying those extra sales taxes on stuff for other districts and or other states. A lot of it, a big majority of it, would be people coming in from out of the county to help pay for some of our facilities. And heck, if you go to places like in Macon County, you see how, the gymnasiums and the tracks and things have been rebuilt due to their 1 cent sales tax being passed a few years ago. And I think we'll be amazed at how the facilities would change, how we get kind of a facelift around here. If this were to happen, we'd probably be amazed how quickly it could happen.
As always, follow us on Twitter at WCSD 15 Sports for news and score updates on both BB and Bullet Athletics throughout the 18-19 school year. Instagram as well at WCSD 15 Sports. Facebook, facebook.com/WHS Bullets for information not only on Bullet Athletics, but Williamsville High School as well. And then once again, Ed Legner, Country Insurance Financial Representative out of Sherman, Illinois. You can visit Ed for all your insurance and financial needs. When we return, we'll be joined by District Superintendent Tip Reedy to talk about the countywide sales facility tax.
Next time you're in the market for insurance or financial planning, stop by and see Country Financial Representative Ed Legner at 318 Crossing Drive in Sherman, or give him a call at 217-496-2341. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Williamsville Sports Weekly, presented by Ed Legner, Country Insurance Financial Representative out of Sherman, Illinois. You can visit Ed for all your insurance and financial needs. Sitting with us right now, Superintendent Tip Reedy for the Williamsville Sherman School District. Mr. Reedy, how are we doing today?
Good, Adam. Thanks for having me. How are you doing today?
Not bad at all. Reason I wanted to sit down and talk with you, and I think this is an extremely important episode to kick off our podcasting for the 18-19 school year, is November 6th, election day, midterm elections for the national level, but specifically a point of interest here at the local level. The Sangamon County ballots are going to have a question on there for a countywide facility sales tax, that where the revenue will end up going to the schools. And a lot of people, they hear tax nowadays. They think, oh, just one more thing. But this one is a little bit different, and we want to get as much information out there so that we can have an educated voting base. So what's kind of like the background with this and its importance with the Sangamon County?
Yeah, I appreciate that. A lot of people ask me, what is a sales tax for school facilities? And a little background in regards to that, Adam, is, recognizing the need for Illinois schools to remain competitive and to reduce the burden of school facility funding on real property owners, the Illinois legislators passed an Illinois County School Facility Sales Tax Act, CSFT, in 2007. The intent of this law was to provide both a new source of funding for public schools and an alternative source for funding to traditional property tax revenues, because schools, as you know, are mostly funded by property taxes. The county sales tax, or this sales tax for Sangamon counties, will provides for a retail sales tax up to 1% on non-essential goods sold in the county for funding and school facility needs. Similar laws have been enacted with success in many other states, including Iowa, where the option was passed in every county. And to date, in Illinois, the county school facility sales tax has been approved in 51 Illinois counties and will be on the ballot in 3 more counties on November 6th of 2018.
So just so people understand, this is just for Sangamon County. This isn't a yes or no for the sales tax for the whole state. This would just be for our people living in here in Sangamon County.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a county school facility sales tax that could only be used specifically for facilities and maintenance, or reducing bond debt on qualified purchases. It's important to everybody know that this sales tax for schools is not taxing everything, and if it's not taxed, it will not be taxed.
And we'll get to what is actually going to be taxed here in a second. But one of the things about Springfield is it's a tourism hub. That's the state capital, a lot of Lincoln things here. So this isn't going to be only coming out of the pockets of people that live here within Sangamon County, but we're going to get a lot of people that travel through here that are contributing to our schools.
Yeah, absolutely. We have 2 major thoroughfares that travel through Sangamon County. We got Interstate 72 that goes east and west, and we got Interstate 55 that goes north and south. And the data shows that 30 to 40% of this sales tax will be paid by people outside Sangamon County visiting our Sangamon County and the city of Springfield with the tourism. As you know, we had attendance at the state fair. They had the 30+ thousand people there for the motorcycle event that they had this summer. They had the another additional event with the Route 66 car show with 80+ thousand people that are coming to visit Springfield. So it's very important for people to understand locally. It will be dispersed and shared amongst everybody coming to and through Sangamon County, and it's a shift from relying exclusively on the property tax owner to help fund schools for facilities and maintenance.
Now, a lot of people thought, last year the budget was passed finally by the state of Illinois, and this solved a lot of problems. It did solve some issues, but how is this going to help, especially with how, even though that budget was passed, we're still not getting all the money from the state that we have been promised?
Yeah, it was a good deal that we've had a budget for 2 years in a row, or the state of Illinois has budget 2 years in a row, because we received our scheduled linear payments in regards to the evidence-based model and the base funding minimum. So that's a positive, and that allows us to budget strategically. But historically, over time, and continued at the present moment, the district does not have the financial means to do the facility upgrades for our roofs and our HVAC systems and our other building health, life, safety needs that are due and quite expensive. So our money and revenue only comes in a certain amount of buckets, and in order for us to do that, education and educating kids is our number one priority, and we won't want to take the revenue from that to educate the kids. We just haven't had the revenue over time to be able to upgrade and maintain our facilities, and the costs are quite expensive, and this county facility sales tax would be used exclusively to pay for those upgrades and facilities maintenance.
So you talk about it, this money, this penny tax that would go on certain items, which we'll talk about here in a second. It can only be used for certain things. Right now, based on your calculations, if this were to start tomorrow, we'd get about $1 million a year off of this sales tax here for the Williamsville-Sherman Community School District. Springfield obviously get the most because they have more students, and and how it's broken down is based upon the number of students you have in your district. So with that $1 million a year, there's been some not precedents, but some like a top 10 list almost that have been set up. What are some things that would be used and taken care of right away once this money starts coming in?
Yeah, it's very important for everybody to understand. Specifically, earlier this fall, the Board of Education passed a public resolution and took action for truth and transparency on the intentions if the county facility sales tax passed. And our district priorities are as follows. We're going to utilize the revenue from the sales tax to enhance school security and safety. Providing a safe learning environment is very important. We're going to utilize the revenue to pay off existing annual debt certificate payments. We're going to utilize the revenue for health, life, safety expenses and ADA upgrades and so forth that we're expected to do on a 10-year life safety survey, and health, life, safety expenses annually. We're going to utilize this revenue for the deferred maintenance on all the district buildings. I talked about that a little bit earlier about our HVAC systems, our roofs, and so forth. We got leaky roofs. And we're going to utilize the revenue over time for district facility upgrades, and all this information specifically listed on our website if people would like further information.
Now, what a lot of people have seen other districts do over time when these things have been taken care of is they start upgrading their outdoor facilities. A lot of people see, new turf on football fields or field houses or new auditoriums, but one of the main things you talked about is that enhancing that school security and safety. We've already started doing that this year a little bit with some camera installations and some new point of entry systems within the school. What are some additional things that people would see in terms of school security and safety if this happens to pass on November 6th?
Yeah, our current school security system that we've implemented is in a phase-in school security platform, so we'll continue to add to that. Be able to add additional cameras, be able to remodel and redo some front entries to protect our students from people coming in from the outside, and continue to implement those school security measures in practice that we see fit.
And then you talk about paying off some debt certificates, kind of just like you would as a regular consumer with paying off credit cards. So then you can take that money and put it into other things, because then we can take some of that other money that we're using, put it in the end fund, and then disperse it out into different buckets like you talked about.
Yeah, that's correct. Utilizing this revenue to pay for our debt certificate payments, because right now, currently, those debt certificate payments come out of our operations and maintenance funds, and be able to shift that additional revenue to our education fund or transportation fund or special education fund would only improve those areas for educating kids.
Now, the big thing that people want to know about with this is how is this going to affect my day-to-day expenses, my pocketbook, because not everything is taxed with this. This isn't just a flat sales tax with how like Springfield increased their sales tax this last year. This is different where there's some things that are taxed, there's some things that are not taxed. So can you give us a few examples of things that that consumers will see an increase if this does happen to pass on November 6th, and some things that would just stay status quo?
Yeah, it's very important for people to be educated and informed on what is taxed and what is not taxed. The sales tax is a retail tax, but it does not tax groceries, medicines, cars, boats, or other licensed vehicles, farm equipment, parts, and inputs. And like I mentioned before, if it's not currently taxed, it will not be taxed. The sales tax would cover sales of restaurant food, alcohol, clothing, fuel, and other items currently covered by the state sales tax base. So quite often I ask people when they're asking me about this, well, how much would this cost me? I was like, well, do you spend $10,000 a year on going out to eat, clothes, and gasoline? And some of them say yes, some of them say no. Well, if you spend $10,000 a year, it's going to cost you an extra $100. So people have the option or the opportunity to may not notice it over time if they spend that amount of money, and so forth. It's equivalent on so forth. But just to reiterate, this one sales tax can be used to improve that safety and security of our students, 21st century classrooms, energy efficient heating and air, funding to keep our roofs, windows, and doors in good working order, up-to-date technology and labs, and then property tax relief for our residents. A lot of people want to know, how much would I be actually paying if this passed? Well, if you go to the grocery store, unprepared food does not count. It's not taxed. There's only qualifying items that are taxed on this. So if I go to the grocery store and spend $100 in groceries, there's no increase. If I go to the gas station and get $50 worth of gas, there's 50 cents. If I buy a brand new car or truck or a used vehicle for $15,000, there's no increase. You go out to eat at McDonald's or a fast food restaurant and spend $7 to $10, $7 cents on $7 and 10 cents on $10 is what you see. $40 worth of medicine, whether it's over-the-counter or prescription medicine, there's no increase on medicines. Farm inputs, it's very important to know that. And if we go retail and we buy a $70 pair of shoes, it's going to cost us an additional 70 cents. So it's important for people to know what's taxed and what is not taxed.
And once again, going back to what we talked about with that tourism, when people come into the county or pass through, if they stop at Love's, or even with the new truck stop coming in across the street from them, those items that they purchase in the convenience store there, that would be helping benefit our schools.
Absolutely. As long as it's unprepared food or they're buying gasoline, it would help contribute to all schools in Sangamon County because the money is dispersed by the enrollment of each building.
Now, if this were to pass on November 6th, we're not going to start seeing that money flow November 7th. How long would it take before we would actually start seeing the impact of this on a yearly basis?
I believe this sales tax would go in effect of July of 2019, and the district would start seeing the revenue of October of 2019.
Another thing you mentioned is that this could have a potential impact in terms of relief on property tax owners. How would that affect the people that are already living here in the Williamsville, Sherman communities, or people that are looking at moving in the future?
Yeah, the county sales tax can benefit property owners in two ways. First, the sales tax revenues can be applied to paying off existing debt of the district that has incurred for the past school facility needs. Second, the sales tax revenue can fund projects that, without that sales tax, Adam, would otherwise be funded from bonds supported by the property taxes and the property owners. In addition, sales tax paid by everyone, including visitors to Sangamon County, and is a revenue source that does not rely on just the property owners. It's shared by everybody. And as I mentioned earlier, the data shows 30 to 40% of this 1% sales tax will be paid by the visitors outside and the visitors traveling to Sangamon County.
And going off with that property tax too, we already have one of the lower property taxes in terms of all the schools within the county. That would help attract new growth, new residents, even more than the school already does at this point.
Yeah, it's important to note that our current tax rate of $4.47 ranks 13th out of 18 schools in Sangamon County. So we're one of the lower half or lower third of the tax rates for schools, and this would help us fund those facilities and maintenance needs without relying on the shoulders of property tax owners.
Now, when voters go into the ballot box on November 6th, they're going to see a question on there. How is this actually going to be worded? Because a lot of times, there's some questions on the ballot that can be confusing. How is this going to be worded? And if they wanted to vote one way or the other, how would they go about doing this?
Yeah, we just ask people to be educated and informed. What the specific ballot language says when people go to the polls on November 6th, we'll read as follows. The question for people to make a choice on would be, shall a retailer's occupational tax and service occupational tax, commonly referred as a sales tax, be imposed in Sangamon County at the rate of 1% to be used exclusively for school facility purposes?
So if they were in support of that, they'd say yes. If they were not in support of that, they would vote no on that particular question. Then, correct?
That's correct.
Now, one of the things that you've done to kind of build the plan for how we would spend this money is with our district vision committee. If people want to continue to get involved with that, because that's not going away regardless of how this vote happens on November 6th, how can they continue to get involved with that and continue to support the schools with being a part of that particular group?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a community group where I wanted to build a bridge and connect the community with the school district, and we've had 11 meetings, and our next district vision committee meeting is November 13th at 6:30 at the Williamsville Junior High cafeteria, and people are welcome to attend. And what we've accomplished over the past school year or the past 11 months is we've developed board goals, we've developed short and long-term facilities and financial plan for the school district, and all that's been created with community input. So there's a lot of stakeholders in attendance, and that's how we've created the priorities for the Board of Education too, came out of the District Vision Committee. And once again, as I said earlier, our priorities for the school district in regards to the school facility sales tax is to utilize that revenue to enhance school security and safety, utilize that revenue to pay off existing debt certificates, utilize the revenue for health, life, safety expenses, utilize the revenue for deferred maintenance, and utilize the revenue over time for our district facilities. And that came out directly from our district vision committee, so it's important people note that the community and the villages of Williamsville and Sherman had a lot of input in regards to the direction of this school district, and I look forward to working with both communities in the future.
So once again, kind of coming back full circle, a lot of times midterm elections don't get a lot of people out, so we encourage people to come out and vote, be an educated voter with this information that we presented with you. But before that takes place, if anyone has any questions regarding this, they can obviously contact you or Krista Chirac with additional information as well, correct?
Yeah, that's true. I would prefer that people, if they have questions or additional questions, contact me here at the Williamsville unit office, and that phone number is 217-566-2014, or people could email me with additional questions at Reedy, REEDY, at WCUSD15.org. But it's good to reinforce that our district has not had the revenue over the past several years to maintain our facilities and our buildings. You know, this 1 cent Sangamon County school facility sales tax would allow the district to begin our much needed improvements and ensure our facilities provide a safe, secure, and comfortable learning environment for generations to come. What we're doing now is going to impact the future, and it's important to remember that this is shared amongst everybody coming in and out of Sangamon County.
Well, Mr. Reedy, once again, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us about this so that this information can get out there in the public. Obviously, you're putting information about it out on our district Facebook page, out on Twitter as well, your handle at WCSD15Soup. But anything else that you'd like to add or tell the listeners out there before we go today?
Nope, it's just the fact that on the 6th of November, the Sangamon County voters, everybody will have the opportunity to vote for the 1% Sangamon County school facility sales tax. The Williamsville Board of Education, public approved that resolution to utilize the priorities for the Sangamon County school facility sales tax. And our board just wants each of you to have accurate information about the sales tax and how it would impact our schools. And I'd like to encourage everyone to remember their right to exercise their right to vote on Thursday, November 6th.
Well, once again, thank you so much for coming on today. When we return, we'll take a look at the week ahead for both the BBs and the Bullets.
Next time you're in the market for insurance or financial planning, stop by and see Country Financial Representative Ed Legner at 318 Crossing Drive in Sherman, or give him a call at 217-496-2341. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Williamsville Sports Weekly, presented by Ed Legner, Country Insurance Financial Representative out of Sherman, Illinois. You can visit Ed for all your insurance and financial needs. A lot of good information in that interview with Mr. Reedy in regards to the countywide sales facility tax that's going to be on the ballot coming here in November. Once again, not only information here, information up on our webpage, WCSD15.org. There's information on the district Facebook page as well, and then information is going out on Twitter, information that is available at all of our home athletic contests as well. But once again, just being an educated voter is extremely important in terms of these issues.
Absolutely, and just like any other issue here in the United States of America, whether you're for it or against it, make sure you're educated so you make a wise decision and get out there and vote.
Yeah, and like we talked about and like Mr. Reedy talked about, this would not only be a tax on residents here within Williamsville and Sherman, but anyone coming through our area as well, which would really help in terms of about 60% of it coming from tourism.
Yeah, absolutely. And one point I want to make here is as a former coach here and as a teacher of in the science department, we're lucky that our kids do a lot with not much. Mr. Root did a great job, stretching his finances during tough times where we had no budget and budget from the state of Illinois. But we're doing a lot with little, and I don't know if people understand that. And this will really give a boost to how much of an opportunity we're allowed to give our kids. And like I said earlier, with the technology and things, our kids can do even better things than they do now, and they're accomplishing great things. But we could even push them a little further and a little harder and get them prepared for life after high school with just a little bit more financing. This sales tax would go a long way to that. As we talked about, volleyball regional starting tomorrow night, football this weekend.
Can't make it to football, it'll be live on WHS Bullets TV, or you can follow us on Twitter at WCSD 15 Sports. So a lot of great ways to come out and support the Bullets and the BBs over the next week. Until next week, remember, it's always better to be a Bullet.